What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel for another Real Talk episode. Today, we're going to be talking about why civilians are stupid, dumb, untrainable, and have no right to have firearms. But before we talk about all that, let's first thank the biggest sponsor of the channel, that is brownells.com. If you guys do want to support the channel, use the link in the description. Head on over to brownells.com. Use bro code RDB10 for qualifying orders. Saves you 10% off of $150 or more. But they have Black Friday deals going on. They have a ton of other deals going on. So if you use the link in the description to shop, then I will get credit for the sale and it will support the channel. So thank you to everyone who goes on over to Brownells and shows them some love. But don't fall for the endless consumerism. You don't really need anything unless it's ammo, or maybe you do need something, but don't buy something you don't need just for me, okay? You really should be investing in ammo and training, which is what we're going to talk about today. Specifically, Focus Tripp, buddy of mine, Focus Tripp, has a pretty great channel. So if you have subscribed to him already, head on over to his channel and subscribe to his channel. And he had a live recently with Hop, Brass, Ben Stager, Lucas Bodkin joined in at the end, and a dude named X-Ray Alpha. I think his name is Matt. And it was pretty much a shit show, and by all accounts, and it's actually titled The Shit Show. I recommend you guys go watch it after you watch this video. But I wanted to just have a discussion with you guys, and please let me know down in the comments how you actually feel about this. The main theme of the live stream, it turned into like a yelling match actually halfway through, pretty much concluded in this X-Ray Alpha guy whose background Focus just told me about recently is apparently Delta Force, Grandmaster shooter. So by all accounts, a very well-trained and good shooting individual. He's a very high-level shooter, but essentially just came down to him pretty much threatening Hop and Brass, even though Brass was being like extremely nice, annoyingly nice to the guy, actually, because he just kept saying, I've worn a helmet since I was 17. I don't really give a fuck what you GunTubers have to say. You guys are just pushing and peddling this endless consumerism and this bullshit. You have no experience. You have no right to talk about firearms. Pretty much just like shit all over them. And that's kind of ironic because Brass and Hop and Focus really as well are three of my favorite YouTubers who I actually look to for like unbiased, objective information about firearms, because they actually shoot their guns. They're actually pretty good shots, and they put a lot of rounds and a lot of time into the equipment they're reviewing. So, I mean, if he's calling them, which granted, he didn't even know who they were, which is ironic. So he's coming at them like, you guys, you guys are a bunch of, losers. You don't know how to shoot. And he's never even seen their videos. So it's a bit ironic because for all he knows, they could be grandmasters as well. But I don't believe they are. But again, those guys are kind of the benchmark for good reviews, in my opinion. That's the kind of content I like to watch, is our Brass, Hop, and Focus. So you really know you're going to get the real sauce from them. You're going to get the real tea for those guys. So for him to come out and like shit all over them is just ironic, because in my opinion, they're the best reviewers doing it today. But with that being said, he pretty much was just like, look, he also, I mean, it also divulged into, he runs a training company, and he pretty much said, I don't train civilians because, in all fairness, he said it's not because he's against it. He's not morally against training civilians. He just doesn't have the time to train civilians. He's so busy training tier one guys that he trains allegedly don't watch any gun reviews. They don't go on the internet for information, apparently, for reviews. But the guys, in his own words, the guys he trains, they don't watch gun reviews. They're top tier guys. They've been wearing armor and helmets their whole life for work. And it essentially came down to like him saying, if you don't carry a gun for work, you don't wear a plate carrier for work or a helmet for work, or you weren't a grandmaster shooter, you weren't this or that, then you have no right to speak about any of this Second Amendment stuff, and you're just a clown, you're LARPing, and I got a problem with that. So, and I had a little bit of an after action report with Focus about it, because I called him and I was like, wow, that was very entertaining, annoying, but also entertaining. It was like frustrating when I was listening to this Matt guy talk, and then Hop would come in with something absolutely hilarious, and I would just lose my shit because Hop was just literally trolling the entire live stream. But I want to have this discussion with you guys. I mean, some of my buddies over at Orion Training Group got called out, got thrown under the bus by a dude by the name of, I think it's Trench Grenade is his name. He supposedly, or not allegedly, he actually stated that he trains drill sergeants in the Army. So he's active duty, and he kind of called out Orion Training Group, some of their training styles. I don't remember everything that he said, but I remember that he called them out and was talking crap essentially on them, saying, you're teaching civilian CQB when, and this is also what X-Ray Alpha was saying, is kind of agreeing with him, I guess, or maybe I'm getting this confused. Again, it was a 3.5 hour live stream, but X-Ray Alpha was certainly talking shit on guys wanting to go train CQB when they don't even have the fundamentals of a pistol down. And he's saying, look, why would you go take a pistol 1, a pistol 2, rifle 1, advanced rifle, and then go train CQB? You need to be training like pistol 1 for 5 years to a decade before, and to get these hard skills down before you even move on, which I can kind of agree with, but also like, here's my whole stance on it. I'm trying to recap too much in this live stream. You guys gotta go watch it and then come back to this video, I guess. But essentially, my whole stance on this entire topic is, if guys like myself who have no military, no law enforcement background, I'm literally what he called us are enthusiasts. Okay. Now, he was saying it like a derogatory term. I don't think that's a bad thing to be a firearm enthusiast. But I also take shooting pretty seriously. But I have a day job that pays my bills, and I have a little baby. I have a family. I have a house to keep up with. I have lawn work. I have, just like all you guys, we have shit going on in our lives. So we don't get paid like he does by the government to carry a gun, to go to these training courses, to shoot tens of thousands of rounds. And so for him to be like, you're an enthusiast, I don't fucking give a fuck what you have to say, because that's literally what he was saying to Brass and Hop. It's like, bro, what? Like, what are you talking about? The Second Amendment is all about a well-regulated militia. Well-regulated meaning well-trained. And yeah, it's our duty as Americans to take it upon ourselves. If you own these things, not government mandated, just be very clear about that. I don't believe it should be government mandated. The government should not be involved whatsoever, but you should take it upon yourself to train with your tools and know and be proficient with them. Now, am I some grandmaster shooter? Absolutely not. I do go to competitions. Sometimes I place relatively high in the top 5. Sometimes I place relatively low in the 15th, 16th, whatever, out of 65 people, shooting with really high level shooters. So I am not trying to claim to be some high level shooter, like I'm speaking from some place of like this higher, like, it just was the arrogance and the hypocrisy and everything that this guy was saying was really it was really discouraging to me, as far as like, he was shitting on the gun community, although he was doing exactly what we all hate about people dividing people. And it's really about bringing people together. And he embodied a lot of what I despise about these military law enforcement guys who are like, you're a civilian, I don't have time for you. You don't take this seriously enough. You are essentially too dumb, too slow of a learner. You don't have enough invested in this to actually, for me to even take you seriously, for me to even consider your opinion in that conversation. But for me, what it comes down to is, every person, if we're doing gear reviews, that's what it always came back to, was the gear reviews, right? People like gear reviews. I like gear reviews. I started being a gearhead, like building AR-15s. Like I know I could look at a freaking AR-15 and tell you that's a radian selector. That's a this, that's a, you know what I mean? Like I can look at it and tell you that what charging handle is based off the silhouette of it. That's where I started at. And if that gets people in the door to getting, because it's a bell curve, it's a spectrum. Nobody is just like it's constantly evolving. I started out with aero precision stuff, and I've talked about this in the past a little bit, my evolution and how I kind of started in the gun world and where I am today. And when I started out, I was not shooting competitions. I was not dry firing. I was not doing any of the things that I should have been doing to get better as a shooter. But you got to start somewhere. And to discourage people, or to say you don't even have a seat at the table because you're not a grandmaster shooter, you haven't been in special forces. I mean, that's ludicrous. It's dumb, and it's going to discourage more and more regular people from getting involved in this life and the Second Amendment life, and more people from protecting the Second Amendment moving forward and voting pro 2A, which is the most important thing, is to keep these rights. And the more people that are enthusiasts who have these, no matter where they are on the spectrum of top tier, I don't know him. I've never shot with him, but let's just say Ben Steger and that Matt X-Ray Alpha guy, let's say they're up here. They are. Ben Steger definitely is, and I'm sure from what I've heard about X-Ray Alpha, he's also up here. But what about these guys down here? We don't want to encourage them to continue along this trajectory to train. And if it's gear reviews, then why not? Let's keep them engaged. Let's keep them involved, watching these gun content videos, and keep them invested in protecting the Second Amendment. That's the most important thing. And I don't want to be too harsh on him. He's not here to defend himself. I'm not debating him currently. I'm just kind of doing a recap and giving my thoughts. I think his heart was in the right place for a lot of what he was trying to say, but I think he was also drunk during the live stream, so it doesn't help. He was getting pretty defensive about, I mean, it was very clear. He was just like getting very defensive, seemed a little insecure to me about maybe he felt like he was getting ganged up on because it was mostly YouTubers. It was Focus, Brass, Hop. Ben isn't really a YouTuber, but he does YouTube videos. And Lucas, self-proclaimed YouTuber, he talked about it. So maybe he felt like he was getting ganged up on, but I think his heart was in the right place because I think what he was trying to say, I'm making excuses for him now. I think what he was trying to say, but he wasn't doing a very good job of it, is that gear doesn't matter. If you have a gun that works, go train with it. And that is the sentiment in all my videos. I think that's the sentiment in Brass and Hop's videos too, but he's never seen them. So for him to critique them, again, pretty dumb of him to not at least do a little bit of research about who he's talking to first, because those guys are the guys who say, this gun isn't going to make you a better shooter. Training is going to make you a better shooter. Buy ammo, do dry fire, practice with your stuff, your gear. I always say it in my videos, you're just an expensive loot drop. If you don't train with your shit, you could have the most expensive setup in the world. You're just an expensive loot drop. But for X-Ray Alpha to say there's no reason for civilians to have night vision, there's no reason for civilians to get kitted out, get gear, I think it's dumb. I think it's counterproductive. And I think that what he's forgetting is he started out as a civilian as well. And so did everybody who's in the top tier community. And as he even mentioned, the pedigree, he talked about pedigree not mattering and then backtracked later on and was like, I'm not listening to anything Brass or Hopper saying because I've been wearing a helmet since I was 17 and I'm 49. I still wear a helmet. It's like, bro, does pedigree matter? Does it not? You can't use it when it suits you and then deny it when it doesn't. So again, everybody who's going to basic training starts as a civilian, has trench grenade brought up. And I think it's just an important discussion to have, that he needs to change his rhetoric or explain himself better, because if he really doesn't feel that way, again, I always assume the best in people. I'm not a dramatic type person. This is actually a very out of character video for me to make because I don't like to involve myself in industry drama, but I feel very strongly about civilians training. I think it's very important for civilians to train, but none of us have unlimited budget. None of us have unlimited ammo. And yeah, a lot of time, and myself included, I've talked about it in the past, I do buy excess shit that I don't need instead of spending that money on training and ammo. That is kind of the nature of GunTube, right? But the algorithm demands a sacrifice. It demands new content. And what is new content? It's new shit. I am not from a training background. So what will I do with my platform moving forward? I've already tried to start doing it, but again, it's very expensive and it's hard to get people to partner with you. But Orion Training Group, those guys are fucking awesome. They're incredible teachers. They're patient. They're articulate. They don't move on until you understand the concept. They draw it on a whiteboard. They walk through it. They demo it for you. You demo it after them in individual units. Those guys are incredible trainers. Whether you agree with civilians training CQB or not, those guys are amazing teachers. I walked in knowing nothing about CQB, and I walked out with a very base level knowledge, but I knew enough to move through a building without fucking tripping over myself, and with 4 random guys I've never met who also were doing CQB for the first time. And I have a video on the channel of that as well. So whether you agree with CQB or not, that's kind of besides the point. It's more just training in general, and military law enforcement guys training civilians, grandmasters, competitive shooters training civilians. All that good stuff is super important. So I am trying to use my platform, use my reach to encourage more people to go to these professionals, because I'm not one of them. I'm not going to sit here and pretend, hey, this is how you become a faster shooter. I've never claimed to be like the end all be all or like even know anything at all. In fact, the more I learn about guns, about tactics, about shooting better, the more I realize how bad I am and how little I actually know. When I first started out, I thought I knew everything. So the more I get into it, the more I've been humbled, right? And that is my whole take on it. My whole take is like, as a GunTuber, what can I do to make X-Ray Alpha happy? I guess just do a video on his course, maybe. I don't know if he'd have me, but I wouldn't mind going out there and meeting the guy and taking one of his courses, but I'm just a civilian, so I don't know if he has time for me. But that is my position on it. As a GunTuber who doesn't have that background, who is not a grandmaster shooter yet, hopefully one day I'll be able to train to that level, right? But for now, it's enough to just film and edit, and I got 3 jobs. It's not like I have all the time in the world. But for now, what I can do is go to the Orion Training Group guys. Maybe Trench Grenade will have me one day. Maybe X-Ray Alpha will have me. Bear Solutions. I actually missed a class with Bear Solutions. Signed up with them a year ago, and I completely forgot it was at Staccato Ranch, and I missed it. Very upsetting, actually, because I paid for that. It was like $600. So that was a pain in the ass and sad moment for me. But you know, all I can do is go on these courses and do reviews of courses because, again, reviews of gear. That was like I wanted to shift the channel in that direction, but none of these courses are all over the country. They're very expensive. They have a high round count, so it's a lot of money and ammo and the coursework as well. And I have a new, very small child, so it's hard to convince my wife to let me get away for a 4-day class and leave her without any family nearby to help us out. So excuses, yes, they are real. I mean, they're real world. That's real shit, guys. It's not bullshit. That's why I call it real talk. This is just real. This is my fucking real life happening right here. But all I can do is try to position myself. I used to do fucking a lot of gun slop. I'm not proud of it. There's still times I'm tempted to because it gets you the views. But you know what? At the end of the day, my legacy. I know Mike Tyson just shit all over legacy, right? But I want to be able to look back one day on my channel and say I positively affected change. I positively influenced good people, regular dudes like myself, encouraging them to go out and train and giving them information from more senior level shooters, more professional shooters that can change their life for the better or help save their life or make them just less of a liability in the case that we have to fight for freedom, right? So that's about it. That's going to wrap it up for today. I know that was a very ADHD kind of just spitting at y'all, but hopefully you guys will find it valuable. We can have that conversation in the comment section below. I do know Focus well. I mean, relatively well. Never met him in person, but we spoke on the phone a few times. And if you guys have any ideas for something we could do together, let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see something like that or live on my channel even discussing this. Maybe the Orion Training Group guys. Let me know whatever you want to see down in the comments below. Do you think civilians should train? Do you think civilians are capable of taking gun stuff and shooting seriously enough for somebody like Matt at X-Ray Alpha to open up classes or offer more classes to civilians? Let me know down in the comments, guys. Again, Brownells RDB10 over there. Use the link in the description. I really appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Drink a lot of water. Talk to you soon.